Welcome to TRADEREP. This is Shorthammer. It is the 31st of July, 2019, and we're taking a peek at Netflix. Now, this is a daily chart, and Netflix, if we remember, since earnings has just been dropping. We've seen like a slight bounce in Netflix, and it retested this 335 area, which if we look back has been a point where buyers have stepped in. We've dropped below, regained, and buyers have stepped in and pushed us away from this 335.96-ish area. So really watching that to see if the buyers can get us back over this and if we can squeeze a little bit. But I do like Netflix. I'm wondering how it will react to the FOMC if the rate is what the market is expecting, or if it's better than the market is expecting, or if it's worse than the market is expecting. Will Netflix pull back? So this is really interesting to me, and I'm watching this 323 area. If you look at the lower time frame, which we will a little bit later, we did double tap the lower 323s before we pushed back up into these 326s. And my expectation would be a potential squeeze and a retest of this 335. The question I have, though, is will we pull back a little bit more to the 319 area first before we see more upside? So what I'm going to be watching, let us go to the 5-minute chart real quick. So down here on the 5-minute chart, we see where we opened up right above this 328.19 supply demand zone. We dipped, we bounced on this weekly pivot, went back up. See all these upper wicks. Let me zoom in so we can take a much closer look at that. Let's slide over this way. There we go. So we bounced off the weekly pivot here, this gray dash line, pushed back up, couldn't get over this intraday pivot, and we sort of went back below, bounced off this pivot and this lower portion of the supply demand zone and kind of rolled through. But what we'll see is we dipped back down here and tested this 323, lower 323 area, 323.20s twice. And you would expect, since this was a slightly higher test, like just slightly higher, that we would see a little bit of a higher push up here. So tomorrow I'm going to be watching for a break of this 326.94, 327, and a squeeze into the 328s. Maybe even the 329s. This is what I'm going to be watching for on Netflix tomorrow. We hold this weekly pivot and we squeeze up into this 329-ish area. And I'll be watching that early on when we open. And I'll see how it shakes. But we do have the main intraday pivot for the 31st is at 326.26. So I'm going to look for that area to potentially hold and for us to get a little bit of buying pressure and a squeeze to the upside. If we don't see that and instead we dip, I'm going to be very, very careful as we approach the 324s and 323s. And if we do not hold, I may be looking for a pullback, so a break of this area, and then a pullback to it, and then a failure into this 321 to 319 area is what I'll be watching for on Netflix. We'll see how it shakes tomorrow, whether the buyers or the sellers have control, and how the market is moving prior to the FOMC. If people are more skittish and not really interested in opening new positions, not getting too heavy, just how the market is. So I'll be watching the market movements, and if there's a push either way early, I'll look to take a trade early. And as we get closer to that lunchtime and a little bit after that, the FOMC, I'll probably be sitting on the sidelines. But if I don't see anything definitive as far as at the open or in the first hour and a half, I might be just sitting on the sidelines and waiting. There are a few earnings plays that'll be out there that should be pretty exciting today. So we'll see how things shake out.